welcome to Smart Money. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. We're talking about P2P, and of course, there's no other newer boy on the club, or girl for that matter, other than Fundaztic, a fintech startup which is managed by Peoplender Sendirian Berhad. This is a recognized market operator licensed by the Securities Commission of Malaysia, one of 6 actually, to operate the P2P platform, or peer-to-peer. They've launched the platform last week on September 7th, 2017. And joining me is the CEO of Peoplender, Kristine Ng. Kristine, thanks for joining me.
Thanks
Let's
so much,
talk
Ibrahim.
more about Peoplender and, of course, Fundaztic. What is it all about?
Sure. Fundaztic is a P2P financing platform, as you've mentioned it, and basically P2P financing, just to give you an idea, it's like the Uber or Airbnb of the financing industry. So what the platform does is receive applications for funding from SMEs, and the platform will evaluate it. After we've evaluated it and we believe that it can be hosted on the platform, then we will host on the platform for 30 days, and that's where the exciting part comes in. So investors like you, myself, and basically anyone aged 21 years old and above who's not a terrorist and not in anti-money laundering list, okay, they can start investing with as little as 50 ringgit.
Okay.
So everybody chip in,
Yeah.
and then if the funding reach at least 80% of the funding goal by end of the 30 days period, then we will disperse the funds.
The thing that I have with a P2P platform, particularly licensed by SC, is that it is too cost prohibitive. You need 5 million ringgit in terms of startup capital. Do you think this is fair to impose on startups if they wish to become a P2P platform?
I think that the 5 million requisite by SC, it's fair, because basically the platform, it's not just any startup that you're talking about. You're talking about a fintech platform that deals a lot with security. You need to ensure security. You need to ensure on the system functionality. And then you need to ensure that if anything happens, the platform will have sufficient funds to go on to perform the necessary recovery actions. So all these, you definitely need to ensure that whoever who got the license would have the sustainability power. And most importantly, I think, because the industry is new, right?
Yeah.
So definitely we are not looking at the ability to make money within the first year even, you know.
Yeah, let's
so
talk about the new
why
industry very shortly, but for now, I want to focus on the big boys, the banks that are currently in place, giving out loans, the traditional loans as we know it. Do you think that this, because of the bank's ability to jumpstart the market, they would take a bigger pie from, say, Fundaztic right now?
Well, definitely the banks are already taking a pie in SME financing, but what we do know is that the gaps to financing needs in the country is something like close to 80 billion. So it shows that there is quite a sizable market with needs and wants now that is actually not being satisfied by the traditional lenders, which are the banks. And many people are still going to shadow banking associations and whatnot to get funding. So this is where we hope to be able to complement banking to drive greater access to financing for SMEs.
Let's talk about financing responsibility. If a company or individual can't apply for a loan because of the inability for that company or person to receive that loan, why do you think it's okay for this very person or company to actually get money through P2P? Is this, flaunting the responsibility financing rule?
Definitely not. You have posed a very interesting question. The reason why SMEs aren't able to obtain a financing or aren't able to obtain an approval for financing, it's due to many reasons. And it is not just due to the viability. It could be due to the policies of the banks. It could be due to even geographical limitations. So that is why with P2P platform, Fundaztic, us being online 24/7, it allows more SMEs to actually have an alternative access to financing. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody who comes and apply, we would approve them 100%. In fact, our approval rate right now, being prudent and to ensure on investors' protection is just about 70%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about investors here right now. And investors that when they put money inside FD, there's a 3%. If you are Bumputra, you can earn 6 to 7% from ASB at Tabung Haji.
Yeah.
What is the rate of return if they invest in companies like Fundaztic?
We are looking at an effective interest rate of between anything between 11% to 23% per annum. Okay, and if you take out the cost of credit, that means the likelihood of default, which is the risk that all the investors need to take, it can still have a very attractive net EIR of between 8 to 10%.
Which is still above, three times above the FD
yeah,
rate.
it's still above the FD rates.
Kristine, we'll take a short break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about P2P with Fundaztic. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Smart Money. I'm Ibrahim Sani. Today we're talking to Kristine Ng, the CEO of Peoplender, and of course your new startup, which is the Fundaztic P2P lender that saw its launch just over a week ago.
Yes.
And the thing about P2P is that it's new in Malaysia.
Yes.
It's very mature in US and perhaps Europe.
Yeah.
But do you think that there is a need for governments for the government of Malaysia to give some subsidies, or at least not to impose additional cost if you go out there and advertise? Because you are not just advertising your company, you are advertising the business and industry outright.
Yeah. Not wanting to put the pressure on the government, definitely subsidies are good, but I think with P2P financing, SC hasn't imposed any additional duties or taxes, so I think that's good. And for the, in order to drive awareness, which is definitely needed to boom a new industry, well, I guess it's really up to the platform as to how much they would want to spend. And for us, we will definitely be spending in terms of digital media in order to drive the awareness and then the trust as well as the acceptance, because this is definitely required in an industry that is totally new in the market.
When Islamic banking first started off, all the players, Islamic banking players, they were sort of like frenemies with their competitors. They need each other to actually get the voices out, but individually they are, trying to get a bigger slice of the pie. Is this the case with P2P players like Fundaztic, with the other 5 companies that are running the show as well?
Well, SC has always encouraged us to engage with them and each other. So far, we've been definitely on talking terms, yeah. But then I guess the biggest challenge would be in terms of putting up a singular voice, because each of the other players, as well as ourselves, we have different market segments, we have different marketing strategies, we have different fees and charges, and so it's quite difficult. But later on in October, SC would be having an event of which I believe most of the players would be participating in. So I guess then when the visitors visit the event, they would be able to understand more about each of the players.
The facts and figures are quite interesting. 8 to 10% return after you, net returns, with an 11 to 23% in terms of effective return. Do you think that this is sufficient enough for you to attract investors to come in? Because largely investors are still risk averse. They would want to see the first few years in terms of default. Do you think that balance out that kind of risk profile of investors coming into the P2P business?
In the SC guidelines, they have actually set a margin of interest that the platforms can charge, and that's 18%. However, for Fundaztic, we've decided to charge it slightly lower right now compared to the margin, because we believe that we need to strike a very delicate balance between what will be payable or healthy to the borrowers, that's the SMEs, and what would be palatable to the investors. Because I can charge the SMEs exorbitant interest rates in order to please the investors. So the financing will get taken up very fast. But those would remain on paper if the SMEs aren't able to pay. because the investor's biggest risk is the repayment risk. So the people behind Fundaztic, we were all ex-bankers having experience in SME funding itself. And we believe that you need to set a right balance, because if the SME's cash flow is impacted, that's where defaults happen.
And of course, SME's cash flow is king, right? And
Correct.
cash is king. Are you going to discriminate in terms of what SMEs you're going to chase after, or is there going to be a niche area that will be a specific focus for Fundaztic to focus on?
Fundaztic is very clear that we would like to complement the traditional banking. So we are after the SMEs, the micro SMEs and the very small ones, especially the startups, because these are the segment that is facing the most difficulty in terms of access to financing.
Absolutely.
So our segment will be those requiring funding from anything from just 20,000 to 200,000.
I'm going to bring you back 6 months from now to see and give a checkup on where Fundaztic is.
Definitely, I'll love that.
But thanks for joining us. I've been speaking to Kristine Ng, the CEO of Peoplender Number Heart. They have the new P2P platform called Fundaztic. Check that out. This wraps up this episode of Smart Money. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 501 Awani. Don't forget to download our app at Google Play and Apple App Store. I'm Ibrahim Sani. Thanks for watching and goodbye.